Hey everyone, Justin Ward here with Visible Fence Brand of Delmarva. I'm here with my friend Mitch today and K9 Healing. Like I said, we're going to roll these videos out of local businesses and vets and groomers and dog trainers. So thanks for doing this interview, Mitch. And if you want to tell the viewers who you are and what you're about.
Sure. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah,
I think it's great. I like when I just like that you're shining a spotlight on some of the local businesses. So that's good. I appreciate you coming out. So yeah, my name's Mitch, and I've been in the dog training business for just over 12 years now, and it's easy to remember for me because I started. Excuse me. I started out when I got my first dog that was mine, not like the family dog. And this was about 12, 13 years ago. And I really just had it in my mind that if I was going to have my own dog, and this happened to be a boxer, I was going to really work hard to make him well behaved and obedient. And so I just jumped right into it. Sorry. I just jumped right into it. And it came naturally to me to be able to kind of connect with him and teach him some fun stuff. By the time he was 6 or 7 months old, the people that lived around me in this neighborhood started asking me for advice with their dogs, or started kind of just pointing out how impressed they were that the dog was able to like sit on the front porch with no equipment on while people are playing or the kids are running by on the sidewalk.
Right.
At that point, that's when when people started asking me advice, I said, well, I just did it by myself, but I can help you.
Yeah.
And I just went into business essentially at that moment. I made up some small business cards, and that was the beginning of my adventure doing this.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool because earlier you said it's all about the results. So
Yeah.
people were seeing the results and they were liking it. So that's
Yeah.
a quest to get on the business.
Yeah, it's a nice thing about dog training is that to a degree it's very binary for me at least. Either you're getting the results that you need and that people want, or it's not happening, and you can't kind of flounder if you want to be in the dog training industry and not be able to provide the actual reliable results.
Right.
Time over time. So it's very results driven as far as how how the company does and how
Yeah.
we do.
Absolutely. And I always say it's about the education behind teaching to get those results that makes it better for everybody that gets involved as well. So when you first started, what was the first couple of years like? What did you find a lot of people didn't know about their pets, or what they were learning what they want you to do?
Yeah, it's funny. It probably a lot hasn't changed as far as why people reach out for help from a professional dog trainer. I think that you see a lot of the similar things, just general disobedience, like dragging someone on a leash, overexcited when somebody comes into the house, running away if they get the chance, like in a field or something. And I remember, just thinking back to some of the early times, like the first couple of years, I probably put so much pressure on myself to try to know what I was doing and try to do a good job that, I used to come so prepared, like I would have everything kind of laid out and so I think that from a big standpoint, the needs of the community and dog owners in general have probably stayed somewhat similar. Now, don't get me wrong, like we as people have done a great job of making it more challenging, more complex, and almost kind of, pouring some of our insecurities or attention deficit issues or whatever. Sometimes those things get taken out on the dog in the sense of they become a product of their environment. But overall, it's still, people want a dog that generally is appropriate in its behavior. And then what we like to talk to people about is kind of shooting for the moon a little bit, where, what if you could go for a hike or go to the beach and actually give the dog some freedom, or stop on a road trip at a new field and let the dog go.
Right.
So balancing that like lifestyle of a good dog versus really some of the benefit of having like a well-trained dog is still what it's all about since the beginning.
Yeah. And do you find that a lot of these dogs are emotional creatures, or are they more, is it more the person themselves putting their emotion into it that interferes with some of the training?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's both, to a high extent, really. Dogs, and I love it because every year and all the time, the research and just the studying of the dog always seems to be continuing in this direction, that they are master communicators of energy and body language. Okay, so how people interact with the dog is so important, and we as the human species, we're all about talking and trying to act, a certain way.
Yeah.
So when you look at a dog as an emotional being, they are picking up on so many subtleties, and so much of our communication is read by the dog without us actually knowing that.
Yeah.
Right? So if you have a person that is highly anxious, or just has some kind of like intense traits, you absolutely see that pass through to the dog.
Right.
And one of the things that we kind of always say around here is, your dog will never be something that you are not. Right? And it's really hard to understand that if a dog is gets really intense or wound up about, say, another dog walking by, it's really hard for a person to remain calm and get control of the situation, because we get heightened as well.
Yeah, and I've read somewhere that dogs learn up to 1,000, or can learn up to 1,000 words. So I mean,
I think it's more now.
Really, that blows my mind that you can even teach them that much, because I thought it was less than that. But
right.
I mean, it's amazing what we can teach them. So
yeah,
knowing that, what do you recommend for people that are looking into getting a dog, or
sure.
what should they look? What kind of breed should they be looking at? Or
yeah,
I'm sure with your experience, you've seen best ways to pick up a dog.
yeah. It's interesting because trying to do it by breed, you get a lot. There are similarities across breeds, and there are some general characteristics of a breed that are pretty predictable. But you have to note that any breed can have pretty major differences within even the same litter. Right, so you can get a yellow lab who kind of is real aloof and kind of bouncy and then a little more laid back, and then we have yellow labs that come through our doors that would probably excel in a hunting trial, or really rather be out running birds or hunting ducks.
Yeah.
200 days out of the year. And then when you get an owner that's 65, 70 years old, just wanted a companion.
Yeah.
So you need to take other things into consideration when you're looking for a good fit for you. And probably the biggest thing is, when you're meeting the dog, trying to get a read on the energy level, and make sure that the energy level of that particular dog is going to match your lifestyle.
Yeah.
I think you can, size depends on the breed some, but really take a look at how that dog interacts with its litter mates or interacts with the other dogs around it, and match that with, if you're kind of a person that wants to just take a back seat and let the dog be a dog and kind of have a relationship that the dog can have some of that freedom, then you're not going to want a dog that's pushy and bulls the other puppies out of the way to get to the best milk.
Right.
Because that dog's going to come in and take over, and then you're going to you're gonna end up having to call,
Yeah.
call me.
Yeah, unfortunately, you and I see that on the back end of things. Usually, we get that phone call after they made that decision, and either the dog is really, I call it full-wheel drive, ready to go, and the owner's 67 years old, which you don't want that, or you get that new aggressive puppy, and not saying aggressive towards biting, but aggressive at his energy levels. So
Right. Driven.
Yeah.
High energy.
So it's nice to say that, like I said, a lot of clients need to look into that before they even get another dog, just the personalities and what they're looking for besides just that companion. So.
That's right. And along the same note, because we do, you and I probably deal with a lot of the same phone calls. And there's no dispute that prevention is worth its weight in gold as far as trying to come back and what I call rewiring.
Mm-hmm.
And if a dog has 9 months or a year and a half or more of habitual patterns and behaviors that have become ingrained, you literally have to consider that now we're rewiring the way the dog's brain is going to work. So along with researching the breed and considering the energy level of the dog you're going to bring home, having a plan of like, okay, when and how are we starting training, what kind of containment do we have, or what do we need to get. And the folks that we see the most success with long term, I mean, they start when the dog's young. And when I get to go to somebody's house and they say, okay, there's the flags for the invisible fence, and I'm there to do some obedience, it takes the pressure off, and we get to start talking about the lifestyle design and how many things can we teach the dog. It's way different than coming in and well, the dog's been, doing this for a year and a half now, you need to make it stop.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well.
That's kind of hard to do when they get into a set pattern and repetitious, changing that dog's behavior. But
right.
I'm sure you find that a lot of times. So.
Absolutely.
Any other recommendations you make for people that get their new dogs, and what's some advice that you give to people right off the street?
Yeah, so specifically to young dogs, kind of bringing them in. I think that the number one factor that we see, or that I kind of preach to people about this being something that you can't skip, and this is being able to give the dog actual undivided attention. Okay, too often we kind of let the dog train, let the dog kind of learn itself, figure some stuff out, and then we end up reacting to what the dog's doing. And it really puts you in the rear view mirror as far as the dog's concerned.
Right.
So having a plan, and sort of like a schedule, but more of just in understanding the importance of spending 15 or 20 minutes where your focus is on the dog, and you are actively engaged in leading the dog in its exercises and in its behaviors. We do that with food. I mean, that's hand feeding would be the number one thing that I tell, and that's not just young dogs, that's across the board.
Right.
And I learned this from one of the most influential positive reinforcement dog trainers in the world. It's still a great guy. I can say names on there. Yeah, Dr. Ian Dunbar taught me that a long, long time ago. And his thing was, if anybody's having any type of issue with their dog, they should be hand feeding.
Yeah.
All right, now, on the other side of the coin, I've got a mentor he's been doing this for 40 years, done high quality police dogs, military dogs, and bred and trained these dogs for over 40 years now. Number one information that he stressed to me 10 years ago, hand feed the dog.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was such a neat thing. So to quick kind of wrap that up is spending that 15, 20, 30 minutes of actively engaged, focused time with the dog, and then put them somewhere safe and quiet and let them be. And this whole thought of well, I'm home, so the puppy should be out with us all the time. It's not healthy for the puppy, and it ends to it ends up leading down a bunch of unwanted behaviors that you've been trying to go back and get.
And I'm sure you see it a lot, and unfortunately I see it is a lot of people are working, they get a new puppy and they can't spend that 10 or 20 minutes, but they think that 10 or 20 minutes is when we're sitting there watching TV playing with that dog. So I'm sure you see that a lot. So that there's a difference there. So
it's a big difference. I tell them, put down the cell phones, put down, turn the TV off.
Right.
And then observe the animal. And a good tip that we try and embody all the time is let the dog kind of create some of this. Yeah. And if you have a dog that's hungry and you've got food in your pocket, and you start coming sniffing around, you have something to work with. Right. Instead of like trying to make the dog do stuff. Yeah, and I mean, there's another thing too that I do stress is if you want a dog like that where they're chaotic and they want to go out and do its thing, and that you like it being a dog, just being a dog, that's cool. But then on the flip side of it, there is a lot of people that have that wish list for their dog, and that's where you come in. So. You got it. That's a really good point, because I think that it's hard for someone, especially if they're struggling with their dog, or just in general, because it's not easy, and I don't want to give that impression that dog training or dog ownership is easy. It's a lot of work, and it can be very complex, and it can be very challenging to try to understand what's going on in a predator mind that's now living in a home and in society. So it's not easy. I think that when someone's struggling with a dog, your mind switches to probably a little bit of a survival mode, or just like, gosh, frustration can make you think a little bit. Frustration. Yeah. So I really like to be here for people to let them know you can have both. And we say you can have your cake and eat it too. You can have the goofy and kind of like bouncy, energetic dog, but you can also have that same dog when you say, down, throw itself onto the ground and stay there until you tell it to do something else. Yeah. And when you get to experience that level of fun but control, I mean, then you're cooking, man. You're talking like, that's what gets me excited about training a dog, is that goal, that mission. It's something to chase, something to strive for. Yeah, and back to the results again. So that's it. So tell us a little bit more, real quick, about Canine Healing. Sure. We've got a couple trainers that work with you. Yeah. So we're extremely blessed, and it's been a lot of work and a lot of time. Now, 4 years ago, we were able to secure a property that we've got 6 acres. And about a 4,500 square foot facility that we do the bulk of our work in. Now, we still do a lot of public stuff, but located in Eden, Maryland, so just south of Salisbury. We offer everything from full puppy offerings like classes, private sessions. We do in-home visits as well, up to your general obedience, where it's a happy-go-lucky dog, but just needs some boundaries and a better recall. And we do, and this isn't like the bread and butter of our organization, but we do work with rehabs, and I use that term loosely. We do help people manage aggression problems, whether it be human aggression or dog aggression. That's a pretty challenging part of the industry, but we do help when we can. And we've now grown to 7 team members here. So it's busy. It's the day-to-day grind that we just love. So we've been able. They're always in and out. Whenever I come here, they're always in and out. So. Yeah, we've been able to kind of create an environment that I've pulled from some of the best trainers in the world, and traveled all over the country, learning from other trainers and meeting people and analyzing their facilities and understanding the ins and outs and we can do a little walkthrough if we want to. But how important the way your fencing is set up and the way your yards are set up and how your interior works. And basically we've designed it so that, and it's called the compound, the little play on words. We've designed it where we can help dogs from all walks of life come in and get a clear understanding and thrive in our chaotic, confused human world that we are so lucky to live in.
Yeah, that's the best part about it is coming here, and I mean there's a lot going on, but able to work with dogs one-on-one to channel their behavior and stuff like that is pretty cool. So anything else you want to add?
I think that it's an exciting industry to be in, and I'm sure you feel the same sentiment. Getting to work with dog people and getting to work within our community, and I just feel grateful to get to have an impact on people's lives from a family perspective. I mean, when we train somebody's dog, we become part of that family, and in some cases we're keeping those families together. We're settling marriage disputes, and parenting issues. So I think that feeling blessed to be able to be in a position where it feels good to help with what we're doing, and then I guess I would give people a little bit of like a warning. You got to be real careful. There's so much information available at our fingertips when you're talking about social media and YouTube. And just people being able to share kind of whatever they want.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful where you're getting your information. And I'd be happy to, I'm sure you can put a link to our company. I'd be happy to share with people kind of the top resources that I use and that I recommend, that there's some fantastic individuals in our world who now we have access to. And I think that that's something that can be good, but it can also be challenging because there's so much.
Yep.
But if we could ever help kind of steer people in the right resources, and and obviously we're here to help in any way we can. So that's really it, man. I appreciate you the hustle that you're putting on, because it's fantastic, and I can't tell you how good it is when we share clients or get to talk to people. Just they're thrilled with the way you guys do your business and the results that they get with their dogs. And I'm telling you, when you get us together with one family, it's like the dogs, they're going to stick around, and that's half the battle, and then we get to really focus on the behaviors within
We're changing Delmarva's community here, so
we really
one dog at a time.
One dog at a time.
So how can people reach out to you?
The best way is probably just through our website, and the website's the best way. It's got all of our information as far as who we are and what we do. It has our pricing, and then it has a contact form that lets people share their story. And I've listened to it a lot, and I tried it, but for me to sit there and write it all down and try to remember, it's painful, So the website's a great resource, and then we answer the phone when we can, but most of the time people are buzzing around.
Always in and out, so.
And if we get the voicemail, it says go to our website.
Cool.
So it's k9healing.com. We're easy to find.
But I trust you'll get back to him, so.
Give us, it might not be in 25 minutes. Give us 24 hours.
Yep.
But
awesome. Well, I appreciate it.
Thanks, Justin, man. I appreciate it.
I challenge you guys to go check out K9 Healing, and hope he can help you.